Hello. How are you guys doing? I'm coming to you here from the car. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be doing, but it's a beautiful sunny day here. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Black Lives Matter today. If you are a longtime subscriber, you know that we've kind of talked about them here before on this channel, but I wanted to just come and touch upon it again because it's relevant right now. So, Black Lives Matter. Do they matter? Yes, of course. I totally agree with that statement. However, Black Lives Matter organization, do I agree with what they're doing? Not necessarily. And my reason for that is because I don't think they are truly going after the biggest issues that Black lives have or has. Now, I know we have a police brutality situation in this country, don't get me wrong. But we let it happen. We let it get to this point. We didn't really seem to care so much. Or maybe there's just a small few of us who actually cared about what was going on with the police, with the policies that they were taking on, and the leadership that created these police departments that are letting these really bad guys get hired and work out on the streets. But is that the biggest problem? Is police brutality the biggest threat to Black people's lives? We're going to talk about that. So if we look at information-wise, if we look at the data of what is the leading cause of death in America overall is abortion. For Black, especially for the minority groups, today we'll focus on the Black groups, that is the leading cause of death. Because if you look at, the latest report that I saw from the CDC was from 2016, where they broke down in demographic groups per 1,000 births, how many of those were aborted. Now, for white people, it was like maybe, I forget, I wasn't really focusing on those numbers. It was probably, I want to say, equal to or less than 100. I may be wrong. I did not focus on those numbers. For Black women, for every 1,000 babies born, 400 of them were killed in the womb. Which means that almost half of the babies that could have been born weren't. They were terminated before they were carried to term. That's a big problem. Why don't Black babies matter? Why don't we support the idea of Black motherhood or Black families? Another big problem with the Black community, and another big problem with the Black community is what is really damaging to our culture, to our communities, is the family, the Black family. And for the goal, or the state, can I talk? Nowadays, the statistics for how many kids grow up with both parents in the house, 1 in 3 Black kids have both parents in the house. 2/3 of them have single parents. And most of those are, I bet you, mothers. They're raised by mothers. And that is definitely going to make an effect on the kind of people that are being brought up and born into society. There's a horsefly here. Oh, he went away. I was going to swat him. Higher juvenile delinquency. Because you don't have the figurehead of the father in the home, it makes a big difference on kids, okay? This isn't just like some fairy tale feminist patriarchy shit that they tell you, oh, yeah, you don't need a man. I'm sorry, but when it comes to kids, they need balance. They need structure and balance. And for children, having... So, I know some women are great. I know great single moms. I'm not saying this from like an opinion standpoint. Just biologically speaking, for children, they do better when there is both a mother and the father in the home. Having that balance of, you know, two figures. You know what I mean? Sorry, it's just hot. I'm going to keep the door open. Women can do we can do our best, you know, with raising our kids, but having that authoritative, you know, having that figure of authority that a man brings, you know, men also tend to be a little bit more, you know, bring in like the traditional values in the home. You know, they're, you know, looking out for the kids a little bit, as in, you know, maybe they're trying to help encourage them from maybe like getting like sexually active early, or, you know, focusing on more substantial things in life like that. Having a man in the home, as well as the mother, having both parents in the home radically decreases a child's likelihood of being verbally or physically abused, of them not becoming criminals. I didn't really pull up this data beforehand, but being emotionally stable and rational, it makes a big difference in a child's development, having both parents in the home. How come Black Lives Matter isn't really focusing on reuniting the family structure or reinforcing the traditional family structure? If anything, Black Lives Matter is actually on record for saying that they would like to destroy the traditional family structure so that they can support more, I guess, LGBTQ plus XYZ, you know, lifestyles, which doesn't really help Black people. And at least from my own experience, I know a lot of people are, you know, would rather see a healthy family. You know, of course we want everyone to be safe and be all well and good, but I think there's a bigger problem at hand with having a stable family unit. And this doesn't just go for the Black family. This goes for all of America right now. That's the only issue I have with, you know, 3 lesbian women Marxists, trained Marxists, who are leading this movement, because they're not emphasizing. If anything, what bothers me is that they have these, you know, you have these women in leadership, at least who founded Black Lives Matter, and they use Black men as like their army, their arms and feet. You know, use them to do all their dirty work with all the rioting, getting shot, getting killed in these riots, destroying things, you know. So what's my point about Black Lives Matter? As an organization, I think Black Lives Matter isn't really about finding equality for Black lives, which they have not defined what that looks like. And what is the practical application of this? What does that vision look like? To what ends are you willing to go to? Will Black Lives Matter? Will you enslave everyone else to feel that you are equal? Will you work together with everyone so that everyone is all on one page? Are you going to, if we want to abolish the police, even though that there are Black people who are also work police jobs, are you going to say that they're part of the problem too? What does Black Lives Matter want? What is your end goal? What does that look like applied in our society? That's one big question that I really want answered. If someone has an idea or anything, I mean, cool, but to me, it seems like a lot of the tactics that Black Lives Matter is using is pages out of the Communist Manifesto to overthrow society, to bring in a Marxist society. And I think they're kind of taking advantage of us. Hear me out. I think they're taking advantage of, we are a very proud, we're a very passionate and emotional people. I think that they're taking advantage of our good feelings to implement an agenda that in the end isn't really going to help anyone, because in a communist society, everybody is oppressed except for the leaders, the rulers. So who is that going to be? Is it going to be black people? Is it just going to be one guy or a few people? The cure can't be worse than the problem. So these are just some questions that I have regarding Black Lives Matter. Not to mention that, you know, they spend, what are they doing with the money that they raise? Who's a major backer for this product? Who's a major backer for this operation? Okay, who's fueling the fire? Who's paying you guys to do all this, you know? There had to be some kind of startup, you know, so what gives, you know? I think that's something that we'll look into. I kind of have to cut this video short today, but I don't think Black Lives Matter is really going after the issues that really, really affect black people. Does police brutality, I'm not saying it's not an important thing, but we let it get to this point, you guys. We keep saying, oh, it's a system, it's a system. I'm sorry, we let the system do its thing. We appointed these people. There's a trend among these cities that have really bad police encounters that are mostly Democrat run. I'm sorry, it's just the case. Washington, D.C., St. Louis, or Minneapolis, LA, Detroit, you know, there's a trend. You can't help but notice. Is there a problem with the leadership that we're electing that lets these systems carry through? I think there's also a problem with the police system that we have, period, that, you know, oftentimes in these police departments, the mayor appoints who's the chief of police. Or there's a small board within the police department of who gets appointed to be chief of police. They're not elected by the people, or not chosen by the people. So, I mean, I think for people wanting others to defend them, to come to help them, you'd want the guy in charge. I think you'd want to pick who that is, right? I'm sorry, big truck. So do we have a problem with the way that we're allowing these chiefs of police to be chosen? Because I don't think that the majority of policemen are really out on this vendetta. But I do think that they do allow bad apples to get in, because maybe they get the job done, they make more money, hand out more tickets, arrest more people. There's definitely a problem, but how do we let it get to this point? I think a lot of it has to do with the way that we've been voting. Anyways, okay, I know I've repeated this before already a few times. Do Black Lives Matter? Yes. As a statement, yes, of course, Black Lives Matter. But the world is not filled with just black people. Okay, we have this whole human race that we have to cooperate with, work with, and have to find a way to live together peacefully among. So, do Black Lives Matter organization? Is their organization really looking out for the best of black lives? I don't think so. Not to mention that there are more black slaves, there are more black people enslaved today than there ever was in slavery, but they don't want to tell you that. They don't tell you about that. You know, we'll talk about this in future videos, but I just want to cut it off here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your support and your viewership. If you liked what you saw, if you want to stay tuned for more, please subscribe, please share. Don't forget to click the notification bell if you have not already done so that you can stay tuned when I have a new video coming up. If you want to follow me on Instagram, curly_Christian_conservative. That is my IG handle if you want to follow me there. I'm not so active on there at the moment, but I will be. I'm working on it. I'm just on my lunch break right now and I need to get back to work. So I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in and watching, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for your support or for your unsupport. If you disagree with me, hey, start a debate below. I read the comments, so I'd love to see what you guys have to say. So thank you, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.